Jake Morrison stood in the big room made of crystal. The walls were so tall, he could not see the top. Around him sat creatures from 47 different worlds. Some looked like giant lizards. Others were made of light. Some lived in water and spoke through bubbles. All of them were looking at him with angry eyes. Jake was the captain of Earth's biggest spaceship. He wore his blue uniform with gold buttons. His gray hair was cut short like a soldier. His hands shook a little, but not from fear. He was angry. Next to him stood Lisa Parker. She was Earth's best talker when it came to aliens. She had learned 20 different alien languages. Her brown hair was pulled back tight. She wore a black suit that made her look serious. Her green eyes watched every alien in the room. On Jake's other side was Rick Hayes. He was in charge of Earth's space army. His muscles were big from years of training. Scars on his face showed he had been in many fights. He did not like aliens much. They had caused too much trouble for humans. The room was quiet. Then a creature that looked like a singing bird began to speak. It was tall and had blue feathers. Its voice sounded like music, but the words were not nice. "We have made our choice," the bird creature said. "Humans are too dangerous. They fight too much. They take things that do not belong to them. They cannot live with peaceful people like us." Lisa felt her heart beat fast. She had worked for 5 years to make friends with these aliens. She had traveled to their worlds. She had eaten their strange food. She had learned their customs. Now it was all for nothing. The bird creature kept talking. Humans started 3 wars in the last 10 years. They built weapons on peaceful worlds. They took land that belonged to others. They cannot be trusted. Jake wanted to speak up. He wanted to tell them about the wars that aliens had started. He wanted to talk about the times humans had helped. Alien worlds. But he knew it would not matter. The aliens had already decided. A big lizard creature stood up. It had green scales and yellow eyes. Sharp teeth filled its mouth. This was Scale Master Vex. He hated humans more than any other alien. "I have seen what humans do," the lizard said. His voice was like rocks grinding together. "They come to a world and take everything. They cut down trees. They dig holes in the ground. They build ugly cities. They have no respect for nature." Other aliens nodded their heads. A creature made of water bubbled in agreement. A rock-like being made grinding sounds that meant yes in its language. Rick Hayes stepped forward. His hand moved toward his weapon, but Jake grabbed his arm. "Fighting would only make things worse. You want to know what we think about humans?" Scale Master Vex continued. "We think you are like a disease. You spread from world to world. You destroy everything you touch. The galaxy will be better without you." The bird creature raised its wing for silence. "The vote has been taken. All 47 worlds agree. Humans must leave all space controlled by the Galactic Council. You have 30 days. Lisa finally spoke. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking. "What about our colonies? We have millions of people living on Council worlds. Where will they go?" "That is not our problem," Scale Master Vex said with a laugh that sounded like a snake hissing. "You should have thought about that before you became monsters." The bird creature looked a little sad. "Your people can take their ships and belongings, but they cannot stay. Any human found in Council space after 30 days will be arrested. Any human ship that enters our territory will be destroyed." Jake looked around the room. These aliens lived easy lives. They had never faced real danger. They had never fought for their survival. They thought humans were cruel because humans knew how to fight. "You think we need you?" Jake said quietly. "You think exiling us will destroy us? You are wrong." Scale Master Vex laughed again. "Humans cannot survive without the Council. You need our trade routes. You need our technology. You need our protection. Without us, you will die in the cold space between stars." Jake smiled for the first time that day. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who knew something others did not. "We survived. Ice ages on Earth," Jake said. "We survived wars that killed millions. We survived when our own planet tried to kill us with storms and earthquakes. We built ships that could cross oceans when others said it was impossible. We flew to our moon when others said we would fall from the sky. We do not need your help." To survive, the aliens looked uncomfortable. They had not expected Jake to sound so confident. Lisa stepped forward. "If this is your final decision, then we accept it. But remember this day. Remember that you chose to make humans your enemies instead of your friends." Rick Hayes spoke for the first time. His voice was hard like steel. 30 days is more than enough time. We will be gone from your space, but do not think you have seen the last of humanity. The galaxy is bigger than your little corner of it. The bird creature moved its wings in a gesture that meant the meeting was over. "You have your orders. Leave now." Jake turned to go, but he stopped and looked back at Scale Master Vex. "You wanted to get rid of the humans because we were too dangerous. You just made us more dangerous than you can imagine." As the 3 humans walked out of the crystal room, they could hear the aliens talking excitedly behind them. Some sounded happy. Others sounded worried. Scale Master Vex was telling everyone that humans would be begging to come back within a year. Outside the building, Rick Hayes spoke first. "So what do we do now, Captain?" Jake looked up at the alien sky filled with strange stars. "Now we show them what humans can really do when nobody is watching." Lisa felt scared, but also excited. "Where will we go?" "The Council controls most of the known galaxy." Jake smiled again. This time it was a real smile. "Lisa, the known galaxy is the key word there. There is a lot of unknown galaxy out there, and humans have always been good at exploring unknown places." The 3 humans walked to their ship. Behind them, the aliens were celebrating. They thought they had solved their human problem. They had no idea they had just created something much bigger and more dangerous than they could imagine. In 30 days, every human would be gone from Council space. But Jake Morrison was right about one thing. The aliens had not seen the last of humanity. They had just made sure that when humans came back, they would come back stronger than ever. 6 months had passed since the aliens kicked humans out of their space. Now Admiral Susan Blake stood on the bridge of her huge spaceship, the UES Defiance. Through the big windows, she could see thousands of human ships flying past her. Some were old cargo ships. Others were mining ships that had been changed to carry families. Many were new ships built just for this great journey. Susan was 50 years old with short black hair turning gray. She had been a ship captain for 20 years. Now she was in charge of the biggest group of spaceships in human history. Every ship carried people looking for a new home among the stars. "Admiral, we have counted all the ships," said Amy Foster. She was young with red hair and worked the communication equipment. "We have over 3,000 ships in our group. That means almost 2 million people." Susan nodded. 2 million humans flying through space with nowhere to go. The aliens thought this would be the end of humanity. Instead, it was the beginning of something new. Down in the engine room, Pete Rodriguez was working on something that would change everything. Pete was a smart engineer who had worked on spaceships all his life. His hands were always dirty with engine oil. His brown eyes were always looking for ways to make things work better. "Hand me that wrench," Pete said to his helper. They were installing a new type of engine called a quantum compression drive. Human scientists had worked day and night to build it. Without the alien jump gates, humans needed their own way to travel fast between stars. Pete wiped sweat from his face. If this works the way it should, we can travel faster than any alien ship. We won't need their jump gates anymore. The helper looked worried. What if it does not work? What if we get lost in space? Pete smiled. Then we figure out how to fix. That's what humans do. We fix problems that others say cannot be fixed. On another part of the ship, Dr. Carl Bennett was looking at star maps. Carl was thin, with thick glasses and gray hair. He had studied stars and planets his whole life. Now he was looking for places where humans could build new homes. Admiral Blake, you need to see this, Carl said over the communication system. Susan walked to Carl's room. The walls were covered with pictures of stars and planets. Carl pointed to a map showing a part of space far from the alien territories. Look at this area, Carl said excitedly. The aliens have never explored here. It's too far from their trade routes. But look at what we can see from here. Susan looked at the map. She saw star systems with planets that could support human life. She saw asteroid belts full of metals and minerals. She saw things that made her heart beat faster with excitement. How many planets? Susan asked. At least 50 that could have human colonies, Carl said. And that's just what we can see from here. There could be hundreds more. At the front of the great ship convoy, Captain Nina Brooks was flying ahead in a small, fast ship called the UES Pioneer. Nina was brave and curious. She had volunteered to be the first to see what was waiting for humans in unknown space. Nina had short blonde hair and blue eyes that missed nothing. She had been exploring space for 10 years. She loved being the first human to see new places. This is Pioneer to Admiral Blake, Nina said into her radio. You are not going to believe what I'm seeing out here. Tell me, Susan replied. I found a group of 12 star systems close together. 5 of them have planets where humans could live. The others have moons and asteroids full of materials we need. And Admiral, there's something else. What is it? Nina's voice was full of excitement. There are ruins here. Old buildings on several planets. They look like they were built by someone, but these buildings are older than any alien civilization we know about. Susan felt her pulse quicken. Ancient ruins could mean ancient technology. That could mean tools and knowledge that would help humans build their new civilization. Are the ruins dangerous? Susan asked. I don't think so, Nina replied. My sensors show no life signs, no energy signatures. Just old stone buildings and metal structures. But Admiral, whoever built these things was very advanced. Some of these structures are bigger than our biggest cities. Back on the Defiance, Pete Rodriguez felt the ship shake as the new engine started its first test. The quantum compression drive made a deep humming sound that went through the whole ship. Engine test successful, Pete reported to the bridge. Admiral, this drive can fold space better than anything the aliens have. We can travel between star systems in days instead of weeks. Susan smiled. The aliens had thought that cutting humans off from their technology would cripple them. Instead, humans had built something better. Amy Foster received a message from the rear of the convoy. Admiral, the last ships are reporting in. We have successfully evacuated all humans from Council space. Every human colony, every space station, every mining operation has been moved. Susan felt proud and sad at the same time. Humans had built good lives on many worlds in Council space. Now all of that was left behind. But humans had also proven they could work together when they needed. T.O. Set course for the ruins that Captain Brooks found, Susan ordered. Tell all ships to prepare for quantum compression jump. Dr. Carl Bennett was already planning what they would do when they reached the new systems. Admiral, if these ruins contain advanced technology, we could build a civilization that surpasses anything the Council has ever seen. Susan nodded. She was beginning to understand something important. The aliens had not punished humans by exiling them. They had given humans the greatest gift possible: complete freedom to become whatever they wanted to become. "Send a message to all ships," Susan ordered. "Tell them we are not refugees anymore. We are pioneers. We are going to build something the galaxy has never seen before." As the great convoy of human ships activated their new drives, space around them began to fold and compress. In seconds, they would be traveling faster than light toward their new home. Pete Rodriguez watched his instruments with satisfaction. "Jump successful, Admiral. All ships have made the transition safely." Through the bridge windows, Susan could see strange new stars. None of these stars had ever been seen by alien eyes. This was truly human space now. "How long until we reach the ruins?" Susan asked. Nina Brooks answered from the Pioneer. "At this speed, about 6 hours. Admiral, I'm getting better scans of the ruins now. These structures are incredible. Some of them look like factories. Others might be research facilities. And there are underground areas we haven't explored yet." Susan felt something she had not felt in months. Hope. Real hope for humanity's future. "All ships, prepare for arrival at our new home," Susan announced. Over the communication system, the aliens wanted to exile us to empty space. Instead, they've sent us to the richest, most advanced part of the galaxy. Time to show them what humans can do when nobody is telling us we can't do it. The great human convoy flew toward their destiny among the ancient ruins and virgin worlds of unexplored space. Behind them, the aliens were celebrating what they thought was the end of the human problem. Ahead of them waited the birth of the greatest human civilization in history. 2 years had passed since humans left alien space. Now they had built something the galaxy had never seen before. President Alex Turner stood in his office on the planet New Geneva, looking out at a city that had grown from nothing into the capital of human civilization. Alex was 45 years old, with brown hair and kind eyes. Before the exile, he had been mayor of a small human colony. Now he was president of the Terran Federation, the new government that united all human worlds. He had been chosen because he was good at bringing people together and making hard decisions. Outside his window, Alex could see flying cars moving between tall buildings. Human workers and robots were building new structures every day. Ships from other human worlds arrived constantly, bringing trade goods and news from across human space. "Mr. President," said his assistant, walking into the office, "General Williams is here for your meeting." Kate Williams entered the room. She was a strong woman with short black hair and muscles from years of military training. Before the exile, she had been a colonel in Earth's Space Navy. Now she was in charge of building humanity's new military force. "Alex, you need to see the latest reports from our shipyards," Kate said, putting a tablet on his desk. "We're building ships faster than we ever thought possible." Alex looked at the numbers on the screen. In 2 years, humans had built more spaceships than they had in the previous 20 years. These new ships were different too. They used technology found in the ancient ruins, combined with human engineering. "How are they compared to alien ships?" Alex asked. Kate smiled. "There is no comparison. Our new ships are faster, stronger, and better armed than anything the Council has. The fusion of human technology with what we found in the ruins has created something incredible. Far from New Geneva, on a planet covered in ancient stone buildings, Dr. Ben Clark was making discoveries that would change human civilization forever. Ben was a thin man with messy brown hair and excited eyes. He loved solving mysteries, and the ruins were the biggest mystery humans had ever found. Ben stood inside a huge underground chamber. The walls were covered with strange symbols and pictures. His team of scientists worked around him, carefully studying everything they found. Dr. Clark called one of his assistants. "We've translated more of the wall writings. This civilization was called the Builders. They existed millions of years ago, long before any of the current alien species evolved." Ben walked over to look at the new translation. What he read made his heart race with excitement. According to this, the Builders had technology that could create energy from nothing. They could build materials stronger than anything we know. They could even control gravity itself. Another scientist called out from across the chamber, "Dr. Clark, you need to see this machine we found. It's still working after millions of years." Ben hurried over to see a device made of metal that seemed to shine with its own light. When his team activated it, the machine began to show pictures in the air above it. The pictures showed star maps, technical drawings, and information about technologies beyond human understanding. "This is it," Ben whispered. "This is how we're going to build our new civilization." Meanwhile, on the frontier world of New Frontier, Helen Davis was proving that humans could thrive anywhere. Helen was a practical woman with red hair and strong hands. She had been a farmer on Earth before becoming a colonial administrator. New Frontier had been a dead rock when humans first arrived. Now it was covered with farms, factories, and cities. The planet produced more food than 10 traditional human colonies. "The latest harvest reports are in," Helen told her staff during their morning meeting. "We're producing enough food to feed 5 million people. That's twice what we expected." Her assistant looked amazed. "How are we doing so well?" Helen smiled. "We're using farming techniques from the ancient ruins combined with human determination. The Builders knew how to make soil rich and plants grow strong. We've adapted their methods to work with our crops." She walked to the window and looked out at fields of grain stretching to the horizon. "But it's not just the alien technology. It's the fact that we're working for ourselves now. Every human on this planet knows that their work is building something for their children and grandchildren." In deep space, Captain Tony Martinez was pushing further into the unknown regions than any human had gone before. Tony was an adventurous man with black hair and a love for exploration. His ship, the UES Pathfinder, was equipped with the best scanning equipment humans could build. "Captain, we're receiving long-range sensor data from the probe we sent to the Kepler sector," his science officer reported. Tony looked at the data and could hardly believe what he was seeing. "How many star systems?" "Over 200 in this sector alone, Captain. 57 have planets that could support human life. The others have asteroid belts, gas giants for fuel, and resources we've never seen before." Tony felt the same excitement. That had driven humans to explore their own planet centuries ago. And the Council has never been here. "Not even close, Captain. We're at least 500 light years from the nearest Council territory. This is completely unexplored space." Tony activated the communication system to send a message back to New Geneva. "President Turner, this is Captain Martinez reporting from the deep frontier. Sir, there's enough space out here for humanity to expand for the next 1,000 years. We're not just surviving in exile. We're inheriting the largest, richest part of the galaxy." Back on New Geneva, President Turner received Tony's message with satisfaction. He called a meeting of the Federation Council, the group of leaders from all human worlds. "Ladies and gentlemen," Alex began, addressing the council members through holographic communication. 2 years ago, the aliens thought they were sentencing us to death by exile. Instead, they've given us the greatest opportunity in human history. General Kate Williams presented the military report. "Our fleet is now larger and more advanced than anything the Council can field. We have 150 major warships, 300 patrol vessels, and 500 support craft. Every single one is superior to Council technology." Dr. Ben Clark joined the meeting from the ruins. "Mr. President, we've made another breakthrough. The builder's technology includes something called matter converters. We can literally transform one element into another. We can create any material we need from basic asteroid rock. Helen Davis reported from New Frontier. Our agricultural and industrial production is exceeding all projections. We're not just self-sufficient anymore. We're prosperous. Our colonies are producing surplus goods that we could trade if we had anyone to trade with. Alex looked around at the faces of his advisors. 2 years ago, these had been desperate refugees fleeing alien persecution. Now they were the leaders of the most advanced civilization the galaxy had ever known. The question now, Alex said, is what do we do with all this success? Do we stay hidden in our corner of the galaxy? Or do we announce to the Council that humanity has not only survived, but thrived? General Williams spoke first. Mr. President, our scouts report that Council patrol ships are starting to venture closer to our territory. It won't be long before they discover what we've built here. Dr. Clark added, the technology we've recovered could benefit all species in the galaxy. But do we want to share it with the same aliens who exiled us? Tony Martinez's voice came through the communication system from deep space. Mr. President, I vote for letting them find us. I want to see the look on their faces when they realize what they've done. Alex thought about the choice before them. Humans had always been explorers and traders. Hiding in isolation was not the human way. Here's what we're going to do, Alex decided. We continue building our civilization. We continue exploring and expanding. But we also prepare to reintroduce ourselves to the galaxy on our own terms. Not as refugees begging for acceptance, but as equals demanding respect. The council members nodded in agreement. The exile that was meant to destroy humanity had instead created the most powerful human civilization in history. Outside the president's office, the city of New Geneva continued to grow. Human ships continued to explore unknown space. The ancient ruins continued to reveal their secrets. And somewhere in council space, alien leaders were beginning to wonder what had happened to the humans they had exiled. They would find out soon enough. 3 years after the Great Exile, the first alien ship to meet the new humans learned a hard lesson about making enemies of the wrong species. The Saurian patrol ship Claw of Dominion was flying near the border between council space and the Sully, unknown regions where humans had been banished. Captain Thexka commanded the alien ship. He was the nephew of Scalemaster Thex, the alien leader who had pushed hardest for human exile. Thexka had green scales like his uncle and the same hatred for humans. He was young and proud and thought humans were weak creatures who would beg to come back to council space. Captain, we are detecting a human ship, reported his sensor officer. The officer was nervous because they had not seen any humans in 3 years. Thexka laughed, showing his sharp teeth. Perfect. Let us see how desperate these humans have become. They are probably smuggling goods or begging for scraps from the young. Council worlds. The human ship appeared on their view screen. But something was wrong. This was not the kind of ship Thexka expected to see. Instead of a beaten-down refugee vessel, he saw a sleek, powerful warship that gleamed with advanced technology. This is Captain Lavra Stone of the Terran Federation ship UES Frontier Guardian, came a transmission from the human vessel. You are in violation of our territorial boundaries. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Thexka could not believe what he was hearing. Territorial boundaries? Consequences? These were supposed to be desperate refugees, not people making demands. Human, Thexka replied with contempt. You forget your place. You have no territory. You are exiles. Surrender your ship for inspection. Lavra Stone was a tough woman with blonde hair and steel-gray eyes. She had been a fighter pilot before the exile, and had volunteered to captain one of the Federation's new border patrol ships. She did not like aliens, especially aliens who thought they could push humans around. "Alien vessel," Laura said calmly. "You have 10 seconds to turn around. This is your only warning." Dexka laughed again. "Or what? What can one human ship do against the might of the Saurian Navy?" Laura Stone smiled coldly. "Computer, activate weapon systems. Show this lizard what human engineering can do." The Frontier Guardian's weapons came online. Dexka's sensor officer screamed in alarm as his instruments detected energy readings. Unlike anything in Council records, the human ship carried particle beam weapons that could cut through their shields like paper. It had kinetic bombardment systems that could crack a planet's surface. It had defensive systems that made their own weapons look like toys. "Captain," his sensor officer whispered, "their ship is reading is more powerful than our entire battle." "Squadron." Dexka felt fear for the first time in his life. This was not possible. Humans were primitive. They had been exiled because they were too weak to deserve Council membership. "How?" Dexka asked over the communication channel. "How do you have such technology?" Laura's voice carried satisfaction and pride. "We had 3 years to think about. What you did to us. 3 years to get angry. 3 years to build something better than anything you have." Before Dexka could respond, his long-range sensors detected something that made his blood run cold. More human ships were approaching. Lots of them. His sensors counted 50 and 100, then stopped counting because there were too many. Admiral Frank Johnson commanded the approaching fleet from his flagship, the U.S. Retribution. Frank was an old warrior with gray hair and scars from many battles. He had fought in every human war for the past 30 years. Now he commanded the most powerful fleet in galactic history. "Captain Stone," Frank said over the communication system, "is our lizard friend giving you trouble?" "Nothing I can't handle, Admiral," Lava replied. "But he seems surprised that we're still alive." Frank's fleet spread out around the Saurian. Patrol ship. Each human vessel was larger and more advanced than anything the Council had ever built. The combined firepower of the fleet could have destroyed entire Council worlds. Dexka realized he was trapped. His single patrol ship was surrounded by a fleet that could obliterate him without effort. His hands shook as he tried to think of what to do. "Please," Dexka said, his proud voice now filled with fear. "We mean no harm. We were just patrolling our borders." Admiral Johnson's voice was cold and hard. "Your borders? This is Federation. Space now. You are the intruder here. Federation space?" Dexka could not understand. "But you were exiled. You have no right to claim territory." Lavra Stone laughed. "We have the right of conquest. We claimed this space and we built a civilization here. If you don't like it, you can try to take it. From us?" Frank Johnson made a decision that would echo through galactic history. "Captain Dexka, you will return to Council space immediately. You will report exactly what you have seen here. Tell your leaders that the Terran Federation sends greetings to our old friends who are so eager to get rid of us. And tell them," Lavra Stone added, "that humanity remembers its friends and its enemies." Dexka's ship fled at maximum speed toward Council space. Behind him, the human fleet watched with satisfaction. Their sensors tracked the Saurian vessel until it disappeared into Council territory. "Think they got the message, Admiral?" Lavra asked. Frank smiled grimly. "Oh, they got it. Now let's see what they do with it." The news that Dexka brought back to Council space hit the alien leadership like a bomb. In the crystal chamber where humans had been sentenced to exile 3 years earlier, emergency sessions were called to discuss the impossible reports. Ambassador Zephyny of the bird-like Zephyrians could barely believe what she was hearing. "You say they have a fleet? A military fleet larger than ours?" Dexka nodded miserably. Their ships are more advanced than anything we have. Their weapons could destroy our entire navy. Scale Master Vex was furious with his nephew. You must be mistaken. Humans are weak. They depend on us for everything. Without our technology and trade routes, they should have died years ago. Uncle, I know what I saw, Vex-Ka insisted. They have built something incredible out there. They called it the Terran Federation. They claim territory larger than our entire council space. The other alien leaders began to panic. If humans had really become so powerful, what did that mean for the council? They had exiled humans because they were afraid of human aggression. Had they created something worse? Dr. Heather Brooks received her assignment with mixed feelings. She was a diplomat who had opposed the human exile from the beginning. She had brown hair with gray streaks and wise eyes that had seen too much conflict. Now she was being sent back to council space as the first Federation ambassador in 3 years. Remember, President Turner told her before she left, we are not asking to be let back in. We are offering to talk as equals. If they want our friendship, they can have it. If they want our enmity, they can have that too. Heather's ship, the used diplomat, was escorted by a small fleet of Federation warships. When they reached the border of council space, they were met by a squadron of alien vessels that looked tiny and obsolete compared to the human ships. This is Ambassador Brooks of the Terran Federation, she announced. I request permission to address the Galactic Council. The response came quickly. The Council was eager to learn what humans wanted. In the same crystal chamber where Jake Morrison had been sentenced to exile, Heather Brooks now stood as the representative of an independent galactic power. The aliens who had once looked down on humans now watched her with uncertainty and fear. 3 years ago, you told us we were too dangerous for civilized space, Heather began. You were right, but not in the way you thought. We were dangerous to your comfortable assumptions about how the galaxy worked. She activated a holographic display showing Federation territory. The aliens gasped as they saw the size of human expansion, while you divided up the same old territories and followed the same old trade routes. We claimed the unknown. While you relied on technology your ancestors developed, we pushed the boundaries of what was possible. While you feared change, we embraced it. Scale Master Vex stood up angrily. What do you want from us? Why have you come here? Heather looked at him calmly. We want nothing from you. We are here to offer you something. The chance to join the new galactic order as partners instead of enemies. The chamber fell silent. The aliens had expected humans to beg for readmission to the Council. Instead, humans were offering the Council a chance to join them. The Terran Federation controls technology that could revolutionize galactic civilization, Heather continued. We have resources that could end scarcity forever. We have knowledge that could solve problems you thought were unsolvable. But we will only share these gifts with species that treat us as equals. Ambassador HFY spoke carefully. What if we refuse? Heather smiled. Then you continue as you are, and we continue as we are. But remember, the galaxy is large, and there are many species out there who might be more interested in human friendship than the Council has been. The threat was clear. If the Council rejected humanity again, humans would find new alien allies. The balance of galactic power would shift permanently away from the old Council species. As Heather Brooks left the chamber, the aliens were left to consider a new reality. The species they had exiled to teach humility had instead conquered a quarter of the galaxy. The punishment they had inflicted had created their greatest rivals. The exile had failed. 5 years after the exile that was supposed to destroy humanity, the Galactic Council found themselves in a world they no longer understood. The crystal chamber that had once been the center of galactic power now felt small and outdated compared to the reports coming from human space. President Alex Turner received the formal invitation with quiet satisfaction. The sane aliens who had banished humanity now invited him to address the council as the leader of an independent stellar nation. He was no longer a refugee begging for mercy, but the president of the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. Alex stood before his mirror, adjusting his blue suit. 5 years of leadership had added gray to his brown hair and lines around his eyes. But those lines came from smiling, not from worry. Humanity had not just survived exile, they had thrived beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Mr. President said, "His aide, your transport is ready. Admiral Morrison, Secretary Parker, and Director Hayes are waiting for you." Alex nodded. Jake Morrison was now Fleet Admiral of the Federation Navy, the man who commanded the most powerful military force in Bendo. Galactic history. Lisa Parker had become Secretary of Interstellar Affairs, the woman who negotiated with alien species from a position of strength. Rick Hayes directed Federation intelligence, keeping watch over the galaxy from hidden bases throughout human space. Journey to Council space took only 2 days using human quantum compression drives. As their ship approached the Council's central world, they could see alien vessels scrambling to escort them. The alien ships looked like ancient relics compared to the sleek Federation craft dot in the crystal chamber. The atmosphere was tense. The same aliens who had confidently voted for human exile 5 years ago now whispered nervously among themselves. They had received reports about Federation expansion, but seeing human representatives return as equals was different from reading. Intelligence briefings. Scale Master Thex looked older than his years. His green scales had lost their shine, and his yellow eyes showed worry instead of arrogance. The Saurian Dominion was facing economic problems as human trade routes bypassed their space entirely. Younger Saurians were asking why their leaders had made enemies of such a powerful species. Ambassador Zephan Y of the Zephyrians pecked nervously at her blue feathers. Her musical voice had lost its confidence. The Zephyrian worlds depended on trade with other species, but human merchants now offered better goods at lower prices to anyone except council members. When Alex Turner entered the chamber, the aliens fell silent. He walked with the confidence of a man who represented a civilization that had surpassed anything they had ever built. Behind him walked Admiral Morrison, his uniform decorated with ribbons from battles the Council had never heard of. Secretary Parker carried herself with the dignity of a diplomat who negotiated from strength, not weakness. 5 years ago, you told us we were too dangerous for civilized space. Alex began, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. You were right. We were dangerous to your comfortable, stagnant way of thinking. He activated a holographic display that showed the current galactic map. The aliens gasped as they saw Federation territory stretching across vast regions they had never even explored. While you divided up the same old territories and followed the same old trade routes, we claimed the unknown. While you settled for the technology your ancestors developed, we pushed the boundaries of what was possible. Admiral Morrison stepped forward. His gray hair and battle scars commanded respect even from aliens who hated humans. Our exploration fleets have mapped and colonized more territory in 5 years than the Council claimed in 5 centuries. We have established colonies on over 300 worlds. We have built trade routes that connect star systems across half the galaxy. Secretary Parker spoke next. Her voice was calm, but carried an unmistakable message of power. Federation worlds now produce more food, more manufactured goods, and more advanced technology than entire Council sectors. Our archaeological discoveries have unlocked secrets that revolutionize everything from energy production to medical science. Dr. Ben Clark appeared on a holographic communication link from the ancient ruins. His excited voice filled the chamber as he described the latest discoveries. We have found technology that can create energy from quantum fluctuations in space itself. We have materials that are stronger than anything previously known. We have medical techniques that can extend lifespans by centuries. The economic data spoke for itself. Human worlds were prosperous beyond anything the Council had ever achieved. Federation citizens enjoyed standards of living that made even the richest Council worlds look poor by comparison. A young aquatic delegate finally asked the question everyone was thinking. "What do you want from us?" Alex smiled. "That is the wrong question. The right question is, what can you offer us?" The chamber erupted in surprised chatter. Aliens had never been asked to prove their worth to humans before. The Terran Federation is willing to establish individual trade agreements with Council species, Alex continued. But we will not rejoin the Galactic Council as it currently exists. If you want humanity's partnership, you will have to meet us as equals. Scale Master Vex struggled to maintain his dignity as he spoke. The Saurian Dominion formally requests trade negotiations with the Terran Federation. The admission was painful for the proud lizard, but economic reality left him no choice. Saurian worlds were falling behind as Federation technology revolutionized everything from agriculture to manufacturing. One by one, other Council species followed suit. The aquatic depths dwellers needed Federation technology to expand their underwater cities. The energy beings of Andromeda required human-developed containment systems for their growing populations. The agricultural worlds of Vega sought Federation expertise in terraforming and crop development. Ambassadors F and Y spoke for many when she asked, "What happened to you out there? How did exile make you so much stronger?" Lisa Parker answered, with pride in her voice, "You took away our safety net. You forced us to rely on ourselves. Humans have always been explorers and innovators, but in Council space, we had become comfortable. Exile reminded us who we really are." Dr. Ben Clark's hologram showed images from the ancient ruins. We also discovered that we were not the first species to face this choice. The ruins tell the story of a civilization called the Builders. They were once the dominant power in this galaxy, millions of years ago. The aliens leaned forward with interest. None of them had known about the Builders. The Builders grew comfortable and stopped exploring, Ben continued. They divided up their territory and settled into routine. They stopped pushing the boundaries of knowledge and technology. Eventually, they faded away, leaving only ruins. Behind, the message was clear. The Council was following the same path that had led the Builders to extinction. President Turner delivered his final words carefully. The galaxy is vast and full of opportunities for those bold enough to seize them. The Terran Federation will continue exploring, expanding, and innovating. We invite other species to join us in building the future, but we will not wait for those who prefer to cling to the past. As the human delegation prepared to leave, Scale Master Vex made one last desperate attempt to maintain his dignity. "You think you have won, but humans are still the same aggressive species we exiled. You will eventually destroy yourselves with your own violence." Admiral Morrison turned back to face the old lizard. His smile was not pleasant. "Perhaps, but we will do it among the stars we conquered, on the worlds we built, with the technology we developed. What will you do it with?" The question hung in the air as the humans left the chamber. The aliens were left to contemplate a new reality, where they were no longer the dominant powers in the galaxy. Outside the Council chambers, President Turner looked up at the alien sky one last time. "Think they learned anything?" Secretary Parker shook her head. "Some of them will adapt. Others will cling to their old ways until they become irrelevant." Admiral Morrison was more direct. "It does not matter what they do. We have shown the galaxy that the future belongs to those who are brave enough to reach for it." As their ship departed Council space, the human delegation could see alien vessels following at a respectful distance. The escorts were not there. to threaten, but to show respect to the representatives of the galaxy's new dominant power. The exile that was meant to humble humanity had instead unleashed their greatest achievement. The Galactic Council had tried to teach humans their place in the cosmic order. Instead, humans had rewritten that order entirely. 5 years after being told they were too dangerous for civilized space, humanity had proven that they were exactly as dangerous as the galaxy needed them to be. They had seized the stars, claimed the unknown, and built a civilization that made their former oppressors look like relics of a forgotten age. The Terran, Federation's flag a golden star, breaking free from planetary chains, now flew over colonies, space stations, and exploration vessels throughout the galactic frontier. It was a symbol that announced to the universe that humanity would never again accept limits placed on them by others. The galaxy had tried to exile humanity to teach them humility. Instead, humanity had taught the galaxy that the universe belonged to those bold enough to claim it.